Ladies and gentlemen, with that, it's now time to begin with our sessions and especially our first keynote session. Owing to the changing trends in the earning patterns, in the mindsets and the interests, there has been a shift of choices in the last few years. Expansion has been the key word, which has meant that consulates, MNCs, and even residences have shifted towards the BKC. So the question is South Mumbai still in a position to retain the charm? We are about to get our first-hand insights on this wonderful topic. And ladies and gentlemen, we have with us someone who's a very, very eminent personality in the field of real estate. And I believe that there's nobody in the audience who hasn't heard of him or doesn't know him. Yes, indeed. He has also been involved in the property business for over 25 years, and being the founder, chairman of Knight Frank in India, he has set up the joint venture in 1995 with Knight Frank UK, a leading international property consulting firm. Ladies and gentlemen, with a warm round of applause, please help me welcome the chairman of Preron Consultancy, Mr. Pranay Vakil.
Presentation? Yeah. Good morning. How are you today? Smart, yes. Well, I don't know how to tell you this, but I'm so happy to be amongst you. Because more than anything else, I'm a broker at heart. I've always been a broker at heart. And I indeed feel at home amongst you. As they say, apno ke beach, and that's the way I feel, really apno ke beach. The topic that's been given to me is, where is South Mumbai Realty headed, north or south? And we can split it into three parts. To really emphasize on the prices, which is the most important probably, as to where we are headed, north or south. Where are the people headed? Are they headed north or south? Because that will also determine the prices. And obviously, the definition of South Mumbai itself, has it changed? There was a time when South Bombay ended at Haji Ali, I thought. Then it became the island city of Mumbai. And now, because of the reach that we have even to places like Chembur and all, thanks to the Eastern Highway, freeway, even places like Chembur almost seem like South Bombay because they are there in 12 minutes. So what is South Bombay? Let us for the time being confine ourselves to the island city maybe, and see how the island city will behave in terms of prices, in terms of occupation, and in terms of the development potential that we have. Okay.
It's a comfort monitor, you can change the slides.
This is what I try and cover today. The factors that will impact, and then I will probably leave it to you after discussing those factors on which way we are headed, north or south. We'll also kind of try and see what has changed for us in the last about 15, 20 years to even warrant this discussion. After all of that, probably we'll do some crystal ball gazing as to where we're going. After that, and if the chairman permits, I want to put before you three thoughts which I have, which are going a little beyond South Bombay, but obviously in the realty sector. And these are the thoughts which have been bothering me. I want to just put before you and share it with you, time permitting. And when I come to that stage, obviously I'll take your permission to do that. But I do want to share it with you for whatever it is worth. Because all these three thoughts call for out-of-box thinking. There are no simple solutions to that. And let's see whether we can all together apply our mind to that. So, South Mumbai. What is impacting South Mumbai? A number of factors affecting supply, affecting demand. And depending upon the view that we take on each of these factors, I think we'll possibly come up with an answer on which way the prices will go. Let's start with the Trans-Harbour Bridge. It's anybody's guess when it will come up, if it will come up, and if it does come up, what kind of impact it will have. You could be in South Mumbai in 20 minutes, which is faster than getting from Haji Ali to Nariman Point, probably. And if you are able to do this in 20 minutes, would you like to stay in South Bombay? Would you like to work in South Bombay, or possibly live in an area which is 13 times the size of South Mumbai, which is going to open up for you should the bridge come up? So that's one of the things impacting South Mumbai, and depending upon the view that all of us take on whether it's coming up, it will definitely have impact. Secondly, Dharavi. 608 acres of land, 57,000 families. They're going to be rehoused. The good thing about this development is that something which is horizontal would become vertical, and therefore releasing a lot of land. But what would it do to South Mumbai? 20 million square feet of office space and another 20 million square feet of residential space is going to be injected into Mumbai, right in the center of Mumbai. Would that impact us? It probably will. 20 million square feet is a lot of area. So 20 million square feet being added in the center of Bombay can have ripple effect all over Mumbai, not only South Mumbai, but possibly other areas too. So that can have an impact. Redevelopment. There are 16,000 buildings which are considered cessed buildings, which can be redeveloped. The government has set a timeline of 20 years for this redevelopment. What does it mean? It means 800 buildings a year will undergo redevelopment in the island city of Mumbai. And assuming that it's going to take you 3 years to redevelop one building, at any point in time, you're going to have 2,400 buildings under redevelopment in South Mumbai alone. Can you imagine those ready-mix trucks moving back and forth for 2,400 buildings? Here we get trouble looking at just 25 buildings under redevelopment, and if the government was to have its say. So, we have to take a view on whether it will happen, how fast it will happen, whether the cluster development will happen, and Ghulam is going to tell us about it. But all of that is going to impact the prices, how we live, where we live, the quality of our life in South Bombay. Slum redevelopment. We cannot ignore slum redevelopment, even if we are talking about South Mumbai, because there are pockets and there are people who are specialists who've learned how to handle this situation, how to redevelop those slums. Some of you who visited a development right behind Glaxo, for example, the building for rehousing are absolutely ready, and then he's taken on the project. So this also will have an impact because it's going to create space in addition to what we have, and that will impact the prices. Higher FSI. The fungible FSI. All that it has done is it has made something legit that was happening anyway, and the money is now going to government, the BMC, instead of it going to a private individual. So, will that impact? Marginally, yes, but not in a big way, although the trend that we've been seeing on FSI is that in pockets, there is a relaxation taking place. If you do a rental housing, you get 4 FSI. You do a hospital, you get 4 FSI. Things like that. So I think by and large, the government would like that FSI to be changed. And I do not know of any developer who's really purely sticking to the 1.33. They're all getting some kind of an exception. If not anything else, at least the fungible FSI. So FSI will change the prices. CRZ. The other day I was completely astonished dealing with a development opposite Sasmira, and I was told that 1/3 of that plot is covered by CRZ. Now where is Sasmira? In line with Glaxo. Where is the sea? There are 3 roads between that plot and the sea, and yet the CRZ applies to it. So there are those obstacles which will keep coming and which will impact the prices, obviously, in South Bombay. The new DC regulations, we talked about it. Transparency, lack of monkey tricks, predictability on what is coming up, how much is coming up, is very, very important and will impact the price. For those of you who are dealing with commercial office space, you've seen the vacancy levels. Why do you think it has happened? Why do you think there is shortage of residences and a glut or surplus of offices? Someone doing the master planning, like Ratan, thought of how much office space, how much residences, water bodies, roads, schools, hospitals, everything was visualized and put on a piece of paper. Comes the chief minister and he says that, look, you're doing an IT development, you get double the FSI. What would you do to a piece of land that you have? Obviously build an office. You will not build a residence. What would that do to you? This is possibly the only city in the world where the best office space you get for 25% of best residential space. 1 lakh rupees per square feet and 25,000 rupees per square feet. I don't think there are many cities in the world with this kind of a disparity, Anil. And I think that speaks for the prices in South Bombay, because if you are out to buy an office space, it's one thing. You might get it at a very, very good price, and I think you should buy. But if you are out to buy a residence, are you willing to pay that 1 lakh rupees per square feet? These are some of the supply and demand factors. Obviously, the infrastructure is changing. If I told you 5 years back there are 48 flyovers coming, nobody would believe it. The Bandra Worli ceiling, everything is happening. And probably even the Trans Harbour Bridge will happen. So, what are the factors that affect the demand? Well, Mumbai continues to be the seat of power of the government. So all of us have to hang around Sachivalai, whether we like it or not. I mean, in a lighter vein, it is said that if you did not find a developer in his own office, the only place you can find a developer is in Sachivalai, in the department which sanctions parking lots. All of them are there. So, that's the situation. The demand will continue for office space, for residences. RBI continues to be there, and the financial services continue to be there. Obviously, financial services also shift to BKC, but then we can also include BKC possibly as South Bombay. The demand for exclusive residences. Sir, I've been in this business for 25, 30 years, and I can tell you that in those days, to even visualize somebody coming up with an 11,000 square feet apartment was very, very difficult to visualize. Today, the change situation is that there's a developer in BKC who is offering an apartment that's 11,000 square feet. And there are buyers. And he gave me a list of buyers. So, that's where we stand. So what has changed? I'll very quickly go over this. People want larger flats. They want better facilities. And there's a huge demand for it. I remember as managing director of the Great Eastern Company, we were putting up a building called Belvedere and nobody wanted to buy it. So much so that at night, I used to switch on the lights on every alternate floor just to create demand as if it was occupied. And look at the situation today. That become a prime area, and after Viveria has come in, after Planet Godrej has come in, things have changed. So the market is changing for all of us. And the developers are looking at a completely new situation in areas which were considered back of beyond. Park, yes, is also an example in that direction. Parking has become very, very important. I must give you an instance, sir, of an apartment of 800 square feet carpet, which was transacted in a building at Altamont Road for only 53,000 rupees a square feet, 4 crores of rupees. And in the same building, there is another apartment of over 900 square feet, but having 2 parkings. The first one didn't have any parking at all. Got transacted at 70,000 rupees a square feet. There's a 20,000 rupees of delta in an apartment which has parking and the one which doesn't have parking. I'm not talking of cost of parking. I'm talking of the apartment price and the impact it will have on the parking. So all developers are now creating that kind of parking. And the norm, which was like 1 or 2 parkings per flat, is changing to 1 parking per bedroom. For every bedroom, you want a parking. What has changed for the developer? A lot of listed companies like Godrej and all, Oberoi, they've come into the market far more organized. I'm not saying that the family-owned ones are not organized, but the kind of transparency that they've brought to the market is really commendable. So that has changed. There's a flight to quality, as all of you know. That has changed. Marketing has become very, very different. How many of you have witnessed the kind of marketing just 2 years, 3 years, 4 years back that you've seen today, say, in Park or in Vanavigna Park? You know, I think the kind of marketing has become so aggressive, so refined, so convincing. And why do they have to do it? To sell their stuff. Because imagine if you were to take a radius of 3 kilometers from Prabhadevi, there are 10,000 apartments that are coming up. And the minimum value of any apartment is about 2.5 to 3 crores of rupees. There are 1,53,000 high net worth individuals or millionaires in India. Let's assume they are not all looking at property in Mumbai. Let's also assume that they already have some property. So how many of them will really buy the 3, 4, 5 crore worth of flats? So there is a scramble, and therefore the marketing. And they all want to kind of sell before anybody else does. They'll give you all kinds of deadlines. The prices are going to change, etc., etc. But that is new, and that has changed for the developer. Real estate funds have come into the market, and I think that has made a lot of difference. Transparency, funding, all of that has changed very much. Brokers meet. The developers are encouraging that. I know of a developer who put everybody on a boat, took them to Elephant and back, so that you are captive for those 3 hours, and you could be inflicted with all kinds of products that the developer is kind of developing. But these things have become very common now. Am I right? Yeah. What has changed for the realtor? Lot has changed for the realtor. I think all of you are in the market and you've seen the shift from information to service. There was a time when you barely had an idea of some flat on the 5th floor which is for sale. Now, the emphasis has changed to service. What can you provide? Exclusivity is becoming rare and rare, most of the time on how you sell, what after-sales service you provide will determine. IPCs have come in, yes, for the last about 10, 15 years, and that has also changed. A lot of research is going into it from departments like one of Knight Frank, 45 people, is it? So 45 people working on research, and you can imagine all decisions are informed decisions. The realtors have also kind of realized that knowledge is very important. Legal knowledge is very important. Financial savviness is very, very important. And unless you have that, if you're taking your client from here to Powai, and unless you are able to engage that client for that 45 minutes to 1 hour in an intelligent, effective way, kiss goodbye to your deal. You should be able to talk about everything from Obama to Osama, whatever. Unless you do that, you will not have the grip on the client. Sir, real estate business all over the world is a local business. So be specialized. Unless you are specialized, you can't run in every direction. So you will find that there are agents, brokers, doing only commercial office space or only residences. IPCs may be the exception. But why? They also have departments, and there is a watertight division between those departments. So that has changed. And yes, the brokers have become more organized, like the one that we are in today, smart. And because you are organized, you are able to push through issues with the government, with the developers, which were very difficult before. Okay, having said all of this, let's try and answer the question which was put before me. Which way is the realty market going? Is it going north or south? There are a few assumptions. One assumption is, and it's a fact really, that Mumbai's rating and certain areas in South Mumbai are the 10th most expensive in the world. Now, when this is worked out, it's dollar denominated. So if you take it in PPP terms, maybe it's a third or the fourth. That expensive an area you guys are dealing with. So it calls for the same kind of expertise, knowledge, infrastructure, offices for you to handle that situation. Because every brokerage will be in excess of 25, 30, 50 lakhs of rupees. And how are you going to manage that without the kind of infrastructure, knowledge, and all of that? The second assumption is that you're talking about a peninsula, you are surrounded by sea, 2-3 kilometers each way, and you hit the sea. So where is the land? And if there is no land, the prices just have to go up. Either you create land notionally or physically. Notionally by increasing the FSI, physically by filling up the sea. Right? Either way, it's a very limited opportunity that we have of creating land. Let us also assume that there will be delays in the Aravi redevelopment, there will be delays in the Trans-Harbour Bridge coming up and all of that. So what kind of an impact will it have on the prices? Also look at the affordability and see how the affordability has gone up over the last 10 years. I've been tracking that number. From 2009 to now, the number has gone up from 88,000 to 1,53,000 all in a matter of 4-5 years. So there is that affordability which is increasing, and therefore the prices that they're willing to pay are also that much higher. One impact which is going to be really widespread of these new developments is that you're going to see better development, cleaner development, better quality, more amenities, and all of that. And having said that, let's come to that prediction. will the prices go up? I very strongly feel that if you are talking about South Mumbai, the island city of Mumbai, the prices cannot but go up. How much it will go up is anybody's guess. It all depends on the timing of some of these projects. But at least, at the minimum, to my mind, it will be inflation neutral. So if you're going to have an inflation of 8 to 10%, that much increase in prices will definitely take place in South Mumbai, to my mind. So that completes the prediction. Sir, do I have your opportunity to deal for 5 minutes on issues which are very close to my heart, and I do want to kind of place it before this August gathering because I do feel that they require attention, although they may not be limited to South Mumbai. The first thing is that 12.74% of India is over 60 years of age. Are we doing anything about it? Are we worrying about it? What do they require? They need income. So, what is it that a realtor, a developer, should really focus on? One of the things is reverse mortgage. I've been trying to push this issue with FICCI, with IMC, and all the organizations that I'm connected with, only because I feel it's a very live issue, an issue which requires a lot of attention and thinking. Today, imagine a person who's worked all his life, he got his children married, all that he's left with is a house that he bought at one point in time. And the rest of the assets may not be all that much, but he still wants to live with dignity. How will he do it? By creating reverse mortgage, something which is done abroad all the time. Why is it not happening? I've tried to call 3 banks to ask them about reverse mortgage. 2 of the 3 banks directed me to 5 departments, one after the other, and I was holding out for 22 minutes to speak to the right person. That's the state of affairs. That's the importance that's given to this. Sir, can you imagine that if you are going to get a monthly flow of funds from the bank in terms of the reverse mortgage, it's being considered by the tax department as a revenue flow and not a capital flow. Whereas, I mean, all of you know what reverse mortgage is. It's something that should be treated as capital and not revenue if you want this to succeed. I do feel very strongly about reverse mortgage, and all of us put together must continue to push that. Not because I'm old, but India is getting old. Secondly, reverse tendering. You'll wonder why I'm talking of reverses. Reverse tendering, again, is something which has been dealt with by consultants at length. What it really means is that when the government is auctioning land, they don't necessarily look for somebody who gives the highest price. But they define who will get it. And the definition will be somewhat like this. Let's assume the plot is worth 500 crores. The government will say, give me 200 crores and 300 flats. And the bidding will be, the 200 will be constant. And people who are bidding for this will say, I'll give you 300 flats, 400 flats, whatever it is. And the person who's able to deliver the highest number of flats, in addition to the 200 crores, will get that plot. What will it do? It will give to the government the ability to give these houses to people. That's reverse mortgage, something which, again, I would like to press very hard. We've taken it up with Kumari Shaileja, etc. They've also kind of liked the project. We need to kind of continue to emphasize that. Third is rental housing. I won't take much time on it because most of you know the need for it. Any city you take, 35% of the population is a floating population. They're not interested in buying in that city, and therefore, unless you are able to do it in an organized fashion and provide rental housing, they will be compelled to kind of go to undesirable people to kind of lease something. All of you have been abroad and you've seen how rental market works. You can just walk in and you can take the place.